So I said, "Hey, you don't want to go in the Army? Join the Marines with me." And he said, "What are you, nuts?" And he started to hit me. "You know what happens when you get shot in Vietnam? You don't jump up and say, 'I'm a new man.' You come home in a body bag." And I'm getting like, every time you hit me, hey, nobody ever told me this stuff.
Hi, granddaddy.
Hi.
How are you this week?
About the same as last week, maybe a little better.
A little better.
Sure.
Yeah, we had a busy week last week.
Yeah, we had a good engagement party.
Yeah.
For Abigail, my granddaughter, number one. Okay,
Yeah.
so
So
we,
where were we?
I don't know. You said something about picking up around the Navy time or something, but
Yeah, we've been talking about that for a while, but
yeah,
there was so much
I
other
haven't
stuff.
looked on there to see if there's any stories that I want out that I missed when I was growing up. So still haven't looked at them, and now it's getting worse and worse because they're starting to pile up.
Yeah, I've been breaking the episodes into multiple shows and then posting them that
I
they
can
come at
sign up
different
for a whole
times.
series.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like a whole series.
All right, service time. Let's start there. I was in high school.
Yeah. It was what year did you graduate high school?
I graduated in 1968. In April of 1968, I turned 18, so I had just turned 18 when I graduated in June.
Right, and that
Uh,
was during the Vietnam
It
War.
was during the Vietnam War. It was right after the Tet Offensive, was it, I think, in January. And my intentions, I had a friend in high school, and we were talking, and there was a couple other people too. They were all going to join the Marines. Now, me and my one friend were going to join as buddies. But then he got his girlfriend pregnant, got married, and got an exemption. So now I was on my own, and I decided, well, it was June or something like that. I said, "Hey, in September, I'll wait for the summer's over. I'll enjoy my summer, and then I'll go into the Marine Corps." And I got a job with somebody, and I thought I should have been treated better because, hey, I graduated from electrical school.
Mhm.
I didn't deserve be treated better. If I had, I could have saved the guy from he wired a three-phase motor wrong. It was the first day I'm on the job, the first thing I'm doing on the job, and this mechanic's there. And he goes, "I'll show you how to do it." And I'm looking at him going, I think he wired that it was a three-phase, what if for AC, the three-phase pump for the motor for the pump for air conditioner at a diner. And it had, you could Y or delta. Delta was a triangle. Y, of course, is like a Y. So, and then you have the two leads. And I was positive he short circuited it, but I was like, you know,
Brand new.
18. This is my first day on the job. He's the mechanic, and I didn't say anything. I should have said, "You sure that's wired right? I think you got it," but I didn't. And he turned the thing on and blew the
Blew up
motor,
the motor.
blew the windings in the thing. And I thought, I guess I should have said something.
Now you know what happens.
Yeah. But then they had me painting. It was air conditioning. I really didn't know about air conditioning. I did electrical work. So all they had me doing was painting AC, what are the vents. Paint this one blue because that's the room it's going in. Paint this one red because that's the room it's going, whatever.
Mhm.
And I painted them like painted over. I just had them closed and I painted them without
Yeah,
opening up and
really
closing.
good.
It's painted. So then they made me paint it again, and I just did a really sloppy job. And the next thing you know, I was fired. So now it was like end of July, I guess, somewhere near the end of July. And I said, I'll just take the whole rest of the summer off. But I didn't tell my parents I was planning on going into the service. And my father was extremely mad at me because he thought I should have got a job to help the family out. I don't know who he thought I was, but with the 8 brothers and 5 sisters and 2 cousins living there, I guess he figured, we could always use a little support here. Go out and get a job and give us your money. And my thinking it was, hey, I worked 2 years at your gas station and you never gave me a dime. So,
Yeah, I put in my time.
I'm going to enjoy my time. And that's when I'm deciding to join the Navy. But I didn't even tell him. I just let him be mad at me because I wasn't getting along very good with my father. And then near the end of August, my brother Billy, who was a year older than me, they tried to draft him. He quit school. They tried to draft him, so he went back to high school and finished his high school in my class. And the funny thing is, like the teacher, the vice principal gave all the rules for the graduate. You got to graduate. You can't do this. You can't do that. You got to do this. You have to do this. You can't do. And if you can't by these rules, you get up and walk out now. My brother Billy got up and walked out. And later on, he said to me, I thought you were going to walk out with me. I said, I didn't even know that you were walking. Somebody had hit me on the shoulder and say, hey, that's your brother. And I'm thinking, what the heck is he walking out for? I wasn't even paying attention to whatever the guy was saying. So, and he says, oh, when you got thrown out of the altar boys, I walked out with you. 9, 10 years old then, or some 8, something like that. I just had made my communion, and I was going to be an altar boy, but they threw me off because, as the nun said, I couldn't understand English. How was I going to understand Latin? You didn't have to understand the Latin. You just had to repeat it.
Repeat it. Yeah.
And I had already known the first thing that I had it already down, the first lesson, Ecum Spiri 220, Dominum Sabiscum Ecum Spiri 220. And that's as far as I got, because the Mass was still in Latin then. So now it's time. My brother went back to school so he wouldn't get drafted. But as soon as he graduated from school, the Army remembered, hey, remember us? We're taking you into the Army. And he comes up, he goes, oh, I got my draft notice. I don't want to go into the Army. And I hadn't even told my brother Billy I was going in the Navy because we weren't
I
hanging out.
thought you were going in the Navy, you
I
said?
mean, the Marine
Marine
Corps.
Corps.
I didn't even tell him I was going in the Marine Corps because we weren't really hanging out together. We always did everything together, but after he quit high school, he was out on his own, and we didn't hang out together even when in high school much. We did a little bit. So I said, hey, you don't want to go in the Army? Join the Marines with me. And he said, what are you, nuts? And he started to hit me. You know what happens when you get shot in Vietnam? You don't jump up and say, I'm a new man. You come home in a body bag. And I'm getting like, every time you hit me, hey, nobody ever told me this stuff, And he says, we're not going in the Army or the Marine Corps, but we don't want to desert. We don't want to go to Canada. Geez. So we decided we would join either the Navy or the Air Force. So we decided to look into them, and neither one of us, we both hated ties. The worst gift you could give us on Christmas was a tie, and my one Uncle Morton always gave us ties. We always, like Christmas Story, when they got the stuff, they throw them over their shoulder. That's the way we were with the ties. So we looked at the Navy, and they had these nice scarves, and the Air Force had these ties. We said, Navy it is. So we went into the Navy, and
And what about the pants, too?
what?
There's the pants as well.
Yeah, the Navy's had bell bottoms, and bell bottoms were the thing of the
Right.
day.
Yeah.
You had bell bottom dungarees and bell bottom whites and
Blue.
blues. So we said, okay, we're going to the Navy. Of course, within a year, my brother was discharged from the Navy because he had an inability to adjust to military life. In other words, he couldn't take orders. And he knew you just couldn't not take orders because then you can get in trouble. So he had to act a little crazy. He says, you can't tell him you're crazy. You just got to be crazy. That's what he told me. So he went this is my brother. He's passed away, but he told me the stories that they decided, yeah, he's a little bit off the,
Not stable.
kelter there. There might be something wrong with him. So they put him in the cycle ward in the Navy. Well, the Marine Corps does not have any uh, medical. Anybody that's working with the Marine Corps in the medical profession is a Navy man. I'm not sure about doctors, but everybody else is. But there may be some Marine doctors. That's what I'm not positive of that. But mostly, if you're in the medical, you're a Navy man, and like if you went into boot camp and you think, I won't go to Vietnam. I'll go into the hospital. I want to be a medic, a medical person. Yeah, you're going to be a medic,
Mhm.
and you're going to be stationed with a Marine. And anytime a Marine gets wounded and yells medic, you're gonna run with a target on you. It says Red Cross, big target on your head, and you because they like to take them out. So and you don't have a rifle, so okay. Yeah, I don't want to be a medic. So I went through the school and I became a of course, I had electrical in high school. I guess they figured I passed enough of the tests. They said I could be an electrician. They asked me what I really wanted to be, and I wanted to be a CB. And what was the thing? I would have had to be guaranteed that before I joined up. I didn't know that, or I would have. So I applied. What's your first choice? I said, oh, CB electrician. Second choice, aviation electrician. Next choice is boat. I don't know what it was. Bosun electrician. I don't know what the actual grade is now. Aviation electrician. You went to school, and you say if you got to be an electrician on the ship, it was on the job training. They just threw you onto the ship, and you hung out with the electricians until you learned your job. I'm stuck in the Navy. Well, before I was stuck in the Navy, they took Billy. Couldn't go. We tried to go to the boot camp at the same time, but we couldn't. He went a week ahead of me. So we were in Great Lakes at the same time, but we were a week apart. Very rarely got to see because you didn't get much free time in boot camp. Boot camp was very interesting. I can spend some. I had some fun in boot camp because it's actually the first time I'm away from home and I'm with all these guys. And yeah, I just thought we're going to a rehab for a heart rehab for Grammy had a heart bypass, and there's all these heart patients in there, and they're teaching us how to eat properly, how to exercise, and the medications, change your lifestyle, whatever. But one of the guys there is a Marines. Then I found out he was an officer. He's an officer. He's a second lieutenant, a first lieutenant, and I have a lot of fun with him, fooling around. And I told him a story like when I was in boot camp. Um, you were given a locker and you would lock your stuff up in there so nobody could steal it. Well, we went off somewhere to do something, and when we got back, and it was like I can't remember. Maybe I could get my book and see. There's about 60 to 80 guys in the in our platoon. I guess platoon. I don't know, camp, barracks, battalion. What about 60 or what? At least 60 guys in the room, bunk beds and everything. We come back and there's 3 locks in the middle of the aisle between the beds, all the way down at one end. And we had to stand against our bunk, against our locker. And I looked at my locker and my lock was missing. I went, uh-oh, one of those locks is mine. The DI puts us down on our hands and knees behind our own lockers and said, you see the other end of the barracks? You got to push your lock to the other side without using your hand. The only thing you can use is your nose. And every time you tried to, it's a round, one of those round master locks. Every time you tried to push it, it would just spin around. So you had to, like, pushing it this way, that way, and trying to get it to go. And it wasn't going anywhere. So I looked at the lock and the lock was locked. And I just stuck my nose right into the part of the U of the lock.
Right.
And I dragged the thing. And I went like as fast as I could crawl my feet all the way down there. And all of a sudden, everybody in the place started screaming. And I went down and boom, and I finished before everybody. And the other two guys stood up because they figured the race is over because the DI said whoever doesn't finish has to do, I don't know if it was 50 push-ups or 100 push-ups or something like that. So I got mine down there and I went, hey! And the other two stood up because I guess they figured they were both, he goes, oh, wait a minute. Whoever comes in second only has to do, half the amount of.
Right,
So he
right.
made them finish the
Finish it.
race, and they had no idea how I got so fast, and they were pushing it, and it took them like 10 minutes to get to the end, and everybody's laughing their butts off.
Right.
But it was funny, and after that, it was like very early in my, but the drill instructor liked me. And in fact, at one point, he went over to me because I said something, and he wanted to show that he was a tough guy, and he grabbed me by the neck. He was squeezing, but he wasn't squeezing my neck. But his face was getting red, and his arms were red. So I figured, okay. I started going like I was choking to death because I thought that's what he wanted me to do. And it was, and, he wanted everybody else to be scared, If you don't do that, I'll choke you, So, so and one of the things my brother said to me, like, if you, when you get there, they'll ask you if you want to be a stick man. Volunteer for that. Don't volunteer for anything else. And I didn't know what a stick man is. A stick man is in your platoon or whatever it is I can't remember what we called it now, our company. In our company, we'd win company flags. And if you won a flag, they put it on a stick and you had to carry it. Well, my brother's group, they didn't win any flags. So the stickmen didn't have to carry their sticks. They just marched without a rifle. It wasn't really a rifle. It was a piece because it was a rifle that wouldn't fire. I don't know. They had no firing pin or it was blocked up somehow. So, and you couldn't call it a gun, of course. If you called it a gun, you got in trouble. So I said, all right. So I volunteered for it. But then my company won the most flags in our group that was graduating. So I had a flag with like 3 ribbons on it, and I'm carrying it. It was worse than carrying
Rifle.
the rifle. And then you had it like when you were passing in review, you had to drop the flag down. My graduation class, when I dropped the flag down, I missed the step, and they have a picture of me. I'm the only one in the whole my company that's marching out of step. I says, "Oh man!" And I got back into step, but I realized it was like when I threw the thing down, I wasn't used to really with the saluting with the flag. But anyway, the other thing that they did in boot camp, if you got in trouble, they handed out work details for you. So, of course, early in the thing, I got in trouble. They made this one guy who was there was a bunch of guys. Everybody in our group was from the New York area, except one guy was from Missouri. Everybody else was either from New York, New Jersey, Connecticut
Right.
area right in there. And so we all got on the bus together, and we from the airport. I was there with one other guy with long hair. I had long hair, and he had long hair. He goes, "Oh, do you think they'll pick on us for having long hair?" I said, "They cut your hair the first day, first or second day. It doesn't really matter." Well, he got a haircut in the airport because he didn't want to go
Show
there
up.
with long hair. And then when we get to boot camp, it was the middle of the night. And unbeknownst to me, it was like the people who first greet you are actually other sailors that are still going to boot camp, but they're on week 13, I think it was, or was it week? I can't remember what week it was. You were given near the end of your time, you were given jobs. Like you could be the security at the gate,
Hmm.
or you could be working in the kitchen, or you could be working whatever. And I didn't notice, and this guy starts yelling at me. It was just right after the Democratic convention. He goes, "You one of those hippies? What are you, from California? Were you at the Democratic convention? Were you a rioter?" And I had no idea. I thought this guy was
like
Yeah.
somebody more
So, yeah,
senior.
I thought he was security or whatever. He was just a boot camp guy. If I knew that, I would have laughed in his face. But of course, he could have got me in trouble for that too. But so and we went to. It was middle of the night. They gave us beds. We got up in the morning. Before we went to breakfast, they took us in to get haircuts.
Hmm.
So, but the DI, my DI, did see my hair, and but he didn't care, and so we go to the haircut. Now I'm in the line there to get haircut. Everybody's getting a crew cut. Nobody in there in the line nobody in the whole area had long hair. Not even Beatle long hair. The mop top. It was all like.
Right. They got ready to be in the military.
And I found out many of them did have long hair, but they got haircuts before they came into the Navy. And so I'm in there. There was like everybody's going through. Everybody, there's 13 companies, I think, or 12 companies that graduate. They go through the thing together and compete against each other and win flags. And of course, we won a lot of the flags. We didn't win every flag, but we won a lot of flags. The most that time, I think, like 26 flags or something like that with ribbons. And so we're all in line. And as soon and then you get all these lines, and then you get into the doorway, and there's like rows and rows or lines of guys. And I get right as I get into the doorway, one of the barber goes, you over here. I said, me? Yeah, you with the hair. I want you. So there was like 6 or 7 barbers there or whatever. One guy, because we went more than once. One guy, they used to call him Shaky Jake. I guess he had Parkinson's, but they would after they shaved you, they'd use the razor on you. He always come up with the razor like this. Then when he got there, he was, but it's like you hear, oh God, he's gonna cut my ear off.
I wonder if he did it on purpose for fun.
Yeah. Anyway, I go up. I go, me? He goes, yeah, you. So I go all the way up to the top, and he cuts off the whole top, all the hair on the top of my head. He goes, okay, you're done. And my head still have long hair. I look like Bozo the Clown. And I jumped up, and he goes, sit back down. And then he cut the rest of it off. What do I care? You're going to make fun of me. It was like, okay. I was going
wanted
along
some
with it.
reaction.
Yeah, it's like, what are you trying to do? Get me mad or something? Oh, look at him. He looks so funny.
Somehow, yeah, right. Just trying to make fun of you.
And like I say, before we got to eat breakfast, they had cut our hair off. So, it's like the guy went to the barber shop for nothing.
Well, they didn't get made fun of by the barber.
Yeah. He didn't get called out by the barber.
But you got to skip the line.
Yeah. So I got to skip the line, and then I had to wait for everybody else because I couldn't go anywhere without the rest of the company. I'm the only one in the company that has a haircut.